Welcome to another episode of 365 Unplugged, not at all shot directly after the last episode. As you can tell, we're in different rooms. It's a different episode. I am Loryan Strant, joined as always by...
I'm still Alistair Pugin. I identify as Alistair Pugin, as previously said in the earlier episode of 2020. And Loryan seems to be in my house.
I am in your house, yes. While you're at the office, I've just come in.
I'm at the
you got
office.
3 screens. I'm going to play games. You work. I'll just sit here. I'm a kept man.
Yeah, you showed up and took over. You know, it's what happens when you give people in Australia access to your house.
My real life might have an issue with that, but with
me,
the
Twitter conversation, yes.
But also, you have just kind of that comment about that's what happens when you give people from Australia your keys. I mean, we are a nation of convicts, so yeah.
I didn't know you people had keys. I thought that you left everything. I didn't know you had keys to houses and stuff. I mean, it might be in bad taste. I remember speaking to an Australian probably about 50 years ago saying, well, we leave our keys in the ignition in case there's a fire and we can escape.
Oh, look, I think in modern days, we're probably a little bit less trusting, but what most of us do is we keep our house keys in the pouch for the kangaroo where the joey usually is, and we have those in our front yard. So if we come into our front yard and we win the fight against the kangaroo, then we can get the keys.
Fight for freedom. Fight for freedom.
That's it. So what are we doing here? Oh, that's right. This is an episode of 365 Unplugged. I want to talk about a really current topic and a couple of great features. I want to talk about classifications in Azure Active Directory groups that are used for Office 365 groups. I want to talk about Azure Information Protection, kind of formerly known as / replacing Azure Rights Management. What do you want to talk about?
I would like to talk about Microsoft finally doing sensitivity labeling inside of Office Pro Plus the right way.
Oh, okay. Sensitivity labels. I haven't heard of those. Interesting. You'll have to tell me more if you win, or if we talk about my topics. So let's give it a go. Let's do this paper, rock, scissors.
The same topic, actually. You just stole my idea before I told you about my idea. It's like Inception, right?
Yes, but that makes it's fair because you stole my slides. So,
am I never going to live that down? I did.
I wouldn't have really cared, except you've just accused me of stealing it again. Country of convicts. It's just what we do. You're in a shithole country. Right. We're a country of convicts. It's just
let's settle this like me.
All right. What? Oh, spider? Is there a spider on my rock?
It's a claw. It's a claw.
It's a claw. I'm guessing that's paper. So you win. You talk about
rock, paper, scissors, claw, lizard, gecko.
So tell me, what are sensitivity labels?
It's exactly what you want to talk about, except that it's in Office 365.
Wait, what?
Yes.
What? It's the same thing that I want to talk about. Oh, well, no, you won. You tell me about it.
It's exactly. You are completely out of focus. That's weird.
This is another blur episode.
You tried to background blur, but you foreground blurred. That's entirely possible. So yes, sensitivity.
Am I still blurred?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. Must have been when I did this and background blur kind of lost it.
I didn't know
because on mine it's sharp.
It's just
mine is sharp.
All right. Well, let's hope it comes out that way. Talking about being sharp. Your background's gone. See comments. Oh, there we go. No. Anyhow, so sensitivity labels.
What are they?
But it's like Azure Information Protection labels. Same thing, different name.
What?
Also known as Rights Management Services, or Azure Rights Management, or Azure Information Protection, which is what it's called now, or Windows Information Protection, or Microsoft Information Protection. I don't know what they're calling it today.
Yeah.
I just know that. Hold on. Have you noticed that they've split the security and compliance center now? So you've got a security center and a compliance center. Finally,
yes, but they don't have everything in them, so you sometimes still need to go to the security and compliance center. Hi.
Well, the 365 Unplugged show. Well, we're recording
on YouTube. You're now on YouTube. Hi.
Anyhow, coming back to what we were talking about earlier on, we spoke.
Hey, Cortana. Set a timer for 10 minutes.
I set a timer for 10 minutes.
Alexa's coming for you.
So,
Sorry.
Rights management has always been a thing for Microsoft. Since Server 2.0, spent a lot of time around Office protectors, and in theory, that's what it is. And they can, if you don't want to call it information management or information protection or sensitivity labels, on the back end of it it's Office protectors. It's there before the client, it's still there today. And you can still do it inside of your Office application. Not just password protect, but you can apply a policy. And you can create on the fly, actually. Now, in the old days, and I mean, Microsoft's been talking, the screenshots they've sent around that we've been doing in our Azure Information Protection sessions have been of sensitivity labels plugged into Office programs. Because you now have a sensitivity icon, not a protection icon, because you would need to deploy the Azure Information Protection client in order to get the protection icon. And it reads on the same.
So now it's baked into the product.
I'm excited that if you're on a monthly channel for Office Pro Plus, when it pushes down, it will actually bring the sensitivity icon into not only the Windows version of Office Pro Plus, but also the Mac version of Office. So what we presented at Ignite 2018 has finally come to fruition. You no longer have to go roll out the AIP scanner. Unified labels is a thing now, even though would you still want to create labels inside of Azure Information Protection, or would you want to create it inside of sensitivity labeling, which is now
so
full
so are you saying that several Microsoft products are converging? So
yes.
here's what I'm personally excited about with sensitivity labels is, yeah, sure, Office client, that's fine, fantastic. And, you know, I'm not downplaying the importance. What I'm personally excited about is sensitivity labels being applied to sites, groups, and teams, because Azure Active Directory group classifications were nice, but they would just display. They actually had no functional purpose. So you could call it, you know, classification internal, did nothing. Now with sensitivity labels, we can say it's internal, and we can define that you must be using a managed device. So you can't be logging in from a web browser or an unmanaged device. We can define that no guests are allowed. So it is a truly internal team. That's what I'm personally excited about. So this conversation about, do we allow guests or not guests, or who can invite guests? It's now more about, where do we invite guests to? And so kind of like what we see with sensitivity labels, you know, informally information protection, putting a firewall around the content itself, the content of the file, not just around the folder or the server or anything like that. Now what we're seeing is the firewall being built around the group, which it also has little mini firewalls around the content inside of it. I think this is incredibly powerful, and this is something that changes the game from a security and collaboration perspective, because it allows us to be more open but more secure at the same time.
Transparency and convergence, I think, are the two words you are looking for there. Yeah. Look, what I like about sensitivity labels, it's no longer just about Office protectors. So it's no longer just about Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, right? It's no longer about that. They've actually extended it now, like you said, well, the classification label that you are going to be seeing in Teams will actually mean something. It's not just a label. There's a protection policy behind it. What I also like that Microsoft is bringing out now is applying sensitivity labels in transit. So yes, let me give you an example. I've got a customer in New York that doesn't want any classification or any security applied to any documents internal. The minute they attach it to a mail and they send it externally, they want a label applied to it.
Yes.
Right? And there was no transport rule that could do it. A cloud app security could do some of it, but not that specific thing. But you could, if there's an impossible, the thing about cloud app security, if there's a flag and anomaly detected around impossible travel, they would apply classification to all the documents associated with that person, right? Which is great.
Yes.
In today's world, that's just it's an errata, right? Today, if I want to send an email externally, but think about a hedge fund, right? You're working in a highly confidential environment, and you don't want to restrict people from sending mails, right? Because you said you no crazy restrictions, but you do want to apply a policy when people are sending external. And I think that's a great thing. And that's all around sensitivity labeling, right? Or the construct behind it. And the fact that it now exists, the feature parity is there where you no longer have to know, well, which portal do I log into to do what? Because you've got the full feature parity inside of sensitivity labeling in Office 365.
Convergence.
At the same time, however, there's a caveat. You either need AIPP2 for automatic labeling, or you need an E5.
Yeah, and I think that's probably going to be the rude shock for people is with the E3, which has historically been the hero SKU, you only get manual labeling, whereas with E5, you get automatic labeling. So where it looks at the content and says, actually, I think this label should be applied to it. So yeah, I think to be honest, that's a smart play to be driving customers towards E5, because if you think about E5 historically, what's it sold? Cloud PBX. People weren't ready to put voice in the cloud. Microsoft, to be honest, wasn't ready to put voice in the cloud at an enterprise level. You were told Power BI Pro, yay, whoop-de-doo, customer lockbox, and a few other things, and My Analytics as well. Now My Analytics has moved down to lower level SKUs. Power BI Pro has limited use. Yes, you'll still have Cloud PBX that people want to use, but now E5 actually makes more sense because it's more secure now. It applies to everything and everyone because of those sensitivity automatic labeling. Because either you choose to, lock stuff down and you're forever chasing your tail from a security and compliance perspective, or you invest the money in the higher value license and it's done for you automatically.
I don't necessarily think buying a high value license, right? Everyone wants to, you don't get an M365 E1.
No.
You only get an E3, right? Because it's M365. But I think security is becoming quite a big thing. However, as much as we talk about information protection and sensitivity labeling, you know that you can just restrict stuff at an AD level, right?
Yeah.
So it's just absolutely no domains allowed. You can't share anything there. You're not issuing an auth, right? Because invariably what happens is you switch on external file sharing and then someone gets a link to say, I've shared this with this person. And the minute the user clicks on that user object needs to be created in AAD as a member, guest, pick one, right? If you block it, and I've had this conversation with Nicholas Blank earlier on today, you can literally do it at AAD and say,
yes.
And
but you can also do it. It depends. That's the thing, is it gives us that different levels, because we can block domains within OneDrive.
Yeah,
we can block domains within SharePoint and Teams and a whole bunch of different ways. But as you're saying, we can also block it within the file.
Sort of a global policy. But we block it. It's either, and that's the two extremes, right? You can apply a default label as when people share externally, right? Without them even knowing if you're on an E5 or an AIPP2, right? Or, and that's the I suppose the most relaxed you'll be, right? If you're sending an email externally, apply a label automatically to it. And then the most restrictive you could be is actually blocking it. You cannot communicate with anyone that's not in our allowed domains list on any level. No mind sharing, no mail, no chat, nothing. It doesn't matter. It's at a domain. It's at a global level where you're applying that policy, saying, well, no, if you want to be the most restrictive, you do it at an 80 level.
And the great thing about also the great thing about these kind of like mini firewalls on the content is if you go, I'm going to work around that, I'm going to put the file into Dropbox or Google Drive or send it via my personal email, good luck. The file is still protected. It doesn't matter that you're working around the system.
It's not where you store it. I think that's probably why Microsoft moved away from eSIM and went into content services, because that's one of the proponents of content services. That we don't care where you store it, we'll still protect it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where we're kind of moving to now, where we had this historical world of the firewall protecting the network and everything behind it. And if you weren't on the firewall, you didn't get access to things. Or you used a VPN and it was, maybe split tunneling, those kind of things. Now the firewall is everything. The firewall is my identity because I have to do multi-factor authentication. The firewall is on devices because I have to be enrolled and compliant. The firewall is on the content itself, not just the location. And also then the network services, so we can have our trusted IP ranges and all these other things and conditional access. And things that I like about this, again, is things like saying this particular location or this particular content with this label applied to it, you can't use it. Cortana, stop. You
and
can't
on that
use
note,
it. You can't, yeah. Cortana's saying that I have to, she's putting a firewall around Loryan talking. So I'm going to wrap it up there because it's
closing thoughts on application firewalls, because that's what we're really talking about, right? Application firewall with a centralized
no, it's content firewall.
Content. No. So you wrap it around Teams, or you wrap it around SharePoint, you wrap it around OneDrive or Exchange.
Yes, but it's also wrapping it on the content within. Because I'm not really protecting Teams, I'm protecting the content inside of Teams.
So sensitivity labeling is just that. It's a content protector.
Yes.
Irrespective of the silo, we can do it at a global level where we protect the entire team, or we can do it on the object, just the document inside the team, inside the email, inside the OneDrive, inside the SharePoint. But invariably, we've got two scopes.
Yeah, and I think we've just come up with a product name, Microsoft Content Protection.
Previously known as
Microsoft Content Protection 365 Pro V2 2019.
Also known as AIP V3. Is that a wrap?
So that's a wrap for us. Yeah, we'll
do
keep
the
going.
YouTube thing. If you
subscribe.
Thank you for watching 365U. You can find myself, Alistair, on Twitter at Alistair Pugin, and Loryan
at Loryan Strant. You can find us on the Spotifys. You can find us on the YouTubes. Yes. You can find us on the regarding365.com. You can find us on the Apple Podcasts, the Google Podcasts.
Stitcher, TuneIn, Pocket Cast. We're on everything.
We are, except Pinterest and Instagram. We should be on. You know what? We should start our own Patreon. Is that what you call it? Patreon?
Patreon. Yeah. People can submit if they enjoy Patreon.
So we can do it with like bit of shoulder.
Cannot unsee that. My eyes are bleeding.
For $20 a month, you get the other shoulder.
Anyhow, thank you for watching. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button, and we will tune in to next week, sir. Thank you very much. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.